Well, you should definitely use trends. Like the thing about trends is that they become great targets to find levels with. Like when you have a trend on your screen that has broken and there's a level right underneath it, that becomes a perfect level to hold the trend intact. You know what I mean? Like trends do become
Yeah.
perfect spots to, like, you almost use a trend and a level together to find one buy. Like you would never singularly buy a trend. Like you can, but like the success ratio of a trend, if you were to say, hey, I have a trend, I want to buy it, the success ratio of buying that trend is going to be variable. As to where if you have a level right below a trend that you're about to drop under, or right above a trend you're about to go over, the success ratio of that will be extremely high because you're playing the fact that the trend is holding and you're buying the level. So you almost get into this situation where the level always makes sense to play because the level's not always going to get hit, but when it does, the trend is going to hold and you're going to have like a super high success ratio with that, right? So like it's almost using a trend to extrapolate the good buy spot. Like you have your trend and then you have your levels that the trend can deep dive and hold. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you won't necessarily, like, again, you buy every single trend, it's going to be highly variable. It's going to be, okay, sometimes this is a perfect buy because the trend got touched and rejected. Sometimes it sucks because like it just took me out of my position from trend. And like you're always going to get that opportunity to buy that trend. Again, results vary, right? With a level,
Yeah.
level's not always going to get hit, but an unhit level by a trend, like if the level stops or if price stops at the trend and you're sitting there at the level below the trend or above the trend, you're like, oh, I didn't get filled, but I also didn't lose money. So there's not a lot of variance in buying a level by a trend as to where there's a ton of variance buying trends. Do you see what I mean? You just don't get filled when you have that level and the trend is there, because when the trend stops the price, then you just simply never take the trade. So it's like no love, no loss. You set an order, it didn't execute. You missed, you just, nothing comes of it, right? You're just like, oh, next
Hmm.
trade didn't get hit. But the level by the trend is like a high value proposition because the amount of times it succeeds where it hits that, and then it also gives you like a certain control around that trend because it'll hit that, like if say you deep dive a trend to a level, you hit the level but you don't close below that trend, like you're still on the wrong side of that trend being like, oh, trend's about to break, like it gives you a very good clear call to action to like get out of that trade. As to where a trend, you're kind of out in the blue. Like a trend, you buy a trend, it hits, it rejects. You're like, yay, up 20% profit. All of a sudden, it starts pushing the trend again, and you're equal. And then you're like, okay, whatever, man, just pull back now. And then it goes a little over the trend. And now you're kind of in this area where you're losing a little bit of money if it breaks over trend, or you're getting liquidated if this thing starts pumping past trend, or you're holding through to hopefully it rejects trend. Like there's not a lot of control in your trade with trends. But if you were on the level, deep dives the trend, hits the level, pulls back below trend, now you're up 30 or 40%, but then it starts closing over top of trend. But you're still in profits. And if it keeps closing over top of trend, like you know how when we have a trend in a back test and you're like, oh, the longer it stays on the wrong side of this trend back testing, those timeframes are closing, this thing's about to break the trend, right? So like buying the level also gives you great control, which allows you to scale up higher amounts of leverage and higher, like bigger trades, higher amounts of leverage on that level past the trend. Because again, you have complete control. You hit the level because it's deep diving trend and it breaks back below trend, right? Like say you're moving up, so you need to break
Hmm.
past it going up, hit that level above trend, pulls back below the trend, and now you're like, oh, we're safe. But the second it starts hard
Hmm.
closing over that trend, you can almost use as a, like a profit trigger, right? So
Yeah.
like even if, like, let's now make a scenario, even if let me share my screen for a second here so I can explain this with video. Oh, this one here. Okay, you should see my screen okay in a second here.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yes, I can see it.
perfect. Like even if you go past this and hit this like this, you're like you're profit triggering. Let's go to a smaller time frame because like the daily is my mouse is jumping all over the place here. um, so like you have trend here, right? You go past trend, you hit this, and then it's like this, and you're like, oh, cool, like we're above trend, awesome, awesome. You're still in your trade, and then it starts doing this, right? And you're like, this
Hmm.
starts closing certain time frames, you can trigger out of this profit, right? Alternatively, it's like it goes here and backtests this and does like this, backtests it a second time, creates the origin here, starts laddering off of some hold level right here, right? Like starts laddering that hold level. You're like, oh, okay, I got to get out. But you're always getting out in a profit scenario here. So you have like great control with that buy. right? And so like
Hmm.
you're here, and then you can just stay in this trend here. Like you can just stay. You just simply stay. Oh, nice. Second level just got hit. You could just stay in the trade, right? Like so the thing about trends is they're really good because you have like almost like these protected entries, and the amounts of times that this hits your return proposition on that, like how much money you make in this trade versus the amount of risk that's in this trade, is super high. Like that's like a really really good quality position right there, because you're not ever really going to lose a lot of money, because you should technically be triggering out on the trend, unless this thing
Hmm.
like flash dumps, which is very rare. Like it goes like this, goes here, you're like, oh cool cool cool, and then it's just like meh, like that. You know how rare that is though. Like
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
have,
We call it the beam. I mean, what are you gonna do when
yeah,
it just
like you're
dumps
gonna
like
have 9 profitable
2 seconds?
trades for the every one time that this happens. So like you're saying you're not using trends to trade. So I do understand that, because trends don't become good buy spots, but they become like the perfect trigger spots for the right trades, right? Like we buy levels.
Yeah.
Trends are funny. They can hold, like you know, you have like, I don't know, like let's just draw a 4 hour localized trend. Like you just have like a trend like this, 4 hour, 4 hour, um, 4 hour, 4 hour. No test there. It actually just goes right over it and drops down. So that's not a good one. How about this one right here? Like this, like localized trend, right? Like deep dives past it, tries to break above it, nothing. Hard close to this, it's like the same trend, or something else.
Uh,
Like something like this, higher time frame. Maybe we should be starting higher. Try the hourly here. Um, yeah, this isn't really a good one either. I'm just looking for like almost like the perfect trend touch. Like you've seen them. You've seen them where you
yeah,
have like the
yeah.
perfect,
Like trends
like right here.
are more of like
Like you will have
decision
stuff like
making.
this. That's not even a perfect touch, but you could actually say that you would have front ran that. So that's legit to have like had this trend and it's at like 49. So you would never be buying 50, but so you'd be buying like 45, right? Like 45 ish, like right there. So like 44.9, like that's fine. But the amount of times this happens is not a lot. Like you can have trends where they do
Yeah.
hit perfectly, but it's so infrequent. Like it's not a reliable type of trade, because you're always going to do something like
Hmm.
this, like go past it, deep dive it, hard close underneath it, like hourly to hourly. This hard closes underneath, and this, you know, again, you're always deep diving the level. Like here you go, here's the range right there, perfect. Like here's a trend, short the rate, like short the level at the trend, and then use that as like your
Hmm.
trigger out, right? So you still need to use trends, but you need to use them to find levels, not to find trades. Use your trends to find the levels, right? Like this is just like a simple 15-minute reverse level that just got hit. That was on the books, those two. Use your weekly here, which we keep. This was first bounce, that's second bounce kind of thing. What we're seeing here. This was a reverse chain from back here. That reverse got hit here, and then this one here, and then that one there, and now you're here right now, right? So just like the reverse
Yeah.
trail. And the next one will just be like right here, because it's just following a 15-minute reverse. We did this yesterday in open chat. So like
All
just a
right, pretty cool.
comment about your trends, like you still need to use them, but you know, I think you're kind of at this point right now where you need to have almost like 10 strategies in a way, 10 buying strategies to say, like, okay, one of my buying strategies is where I have trends and I'm deep diving the level. Because this is only going to happen like you go like this and then you have two levels. So if you were to buy this level here, sometimes you're just going to go a little bit past trend like this and float above the levels, right? Like the amount of times that this level hits is going to be, I would say, 1 in every 5 times. This one is also going to be 1 in every 5 times. So that encompasses
Hmm.
for almost half of the trades that happen around this trend. So this is 2 out of 5 times. Another 1 in 5 times, it's going to front run this trend like that. That's another 1 in 5 times. Another 1 in 5 times is it's going to be this actual trend right here that touches. That's another 1 in 5 times. And then the other one is like it goes past it, but not enough to a level. So out of all the scenarios that happen, when you break this down, this becomes an always profit trade. So like I kind of feel like right now you need to find 10 of these different strategies, because if you were only to do this one, you're not going to have a lot of trades on the books. But if you can
Hmm.
kind of identify, and we can work together to identify some of these spots where they would be like, oh, automatic profits, high value positions, then you can say like, I have like 10 different types of trades that I buy. And they will make sense to always buy this one as my one of 10 trades. And this is going to happen, I don't know, maybe twice a week. So that encompasses for 2 of my trades. And then if I have 9 of these other kind of things that I'm buying, and some maybe have a higher frequency, like a certain type of hold level, then you have that. And now you're starting to build this like big repertoire of trades around safe scenarios. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe data collecting might actually help. Like kind of try to write down why it took why if I like put something books and it like executes and then I'll write it down, or like even if it doesn't, I could probably write that down. Might give me
Yeah, and I
I
and
don't
I think that's
yeah.
key, right? Like I think that's key in where you're at with trading. Because like Nimpo, you know your information really well. It's just like finding those good trades will always be a challenge for every trader, right? But then
Yeah.
having this handbook of like, I take these trades because like this 15-minute reverse is the perfect example of like why this trade makes sense today,
Mm-hmm.
because it had been following a 15-minute trail. Like we already went through this, but we can do it again. This was the 15-minute trail it had been following right here. So that was like a good trade. And it was recognized that now this creates a reverse trail because that was the level that was tested. So your next trade should have been anywhere from here to here, right? Like the next hold level, which gets hit perfectly. And then your next one should have been right here, which gets hit perfectly right there. Like this becomes another one of those scenarios where if you can identify what level is being hit, you could have just taken this reverse, and even right now you could just be in this till even here 1.07. Or you just exit right now if you wanted. You could just be like, oh, I just made my 80%. Like, holy shit, that's awesome. There you go. You just hit 80%, right? But this would have been another one of those scenarios that like out of all the hold levels, like you have hourly hold levels here, you have 4-hour hold levels, you have all these things. If you identify the right trail, that's going to be another scenario that like we date this back to yesterday when I was in open chat with people, doing like the exclusive, we did a Q&A, and then I marked this level out and said, well, this is the next one, because someone had pointed out that it was been reverse trailing. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Actually, it is. So your next buy is this. But this didn't happen for a full day. Like we did our Q&A yesterday around this time. So 24 hours later, you have one trade, right? But this was like a really high quality, safe trade, right? So that's like
Yeah.
another part of your repertoire that you can start to add. And then you might even want to just take it to right here, the polarity in the move, which was here, which is probably set back from here. Like that's, oh, oops, it's probably right here. Like that would have been your target right there. I'm not sure if this is going to keep going up, but this would have been some type of origin that broke out the move. And then on the top side, it would have had to hold something like this, which is the backside of the bigger valley. Possibly this, but this isn't even really these hold levels untested. The range is tested there, so you would have wanted to ladder off of this, which is fine, which it did. I don't know how safe of a trade this would have been. Like maybe like a nice little 30 or 40% scalp, maybe like 40% would be the max I would look for on this one. On like something like this, it ends up going like 60. Fine, not really my concern, but you know what I mean. Like you need to find those trades, and instead of saying like it's almost too linear to open a chart. Like I'll go to this and I'll just it's almost too linear as an advanced trader to just go like this. Okay, we got a 4-hour level here. Yeah, that would have been great back then. Okay, you got another 4-hour level here. I should just buy this 4-hour level because it's untested. Or like going down and finding like, okay, there's a combo level here untested. That's my hourly. So I can go 4-hour here, combo to the hourly. Like this is almost too linear of a process. That's also backside 15. You got front side kind of like right there. Go back to the hourly. Is this? Nah, that's outside of that hourly level. So actually that's the 15 of that. Is there a 5-minute level in here? Like this process is almost too linear. So you've got like a 5-minute hold level here that create a polarity. So you have like a little breakout right here. Is this inside that hourly? Can it be a combo? It can be. So then like this would be another good buy spot right here. But like it's almost too linear to just do this stack. Like to go ahead and do this like stacking coordinates. Do you understand what like you're not going to have a lot of trades if you're just going and marking hold levels and just only taking hold levels. You will have a lot of trades, but you're going to have a lot of losers mixed in with a lot of winners, right? Because they're not like high quality positions. They're positions, but they're not high quality. Just because they're big time frames doesn't mean anything. Like this was a 4-hour. Like how far did it go past this? There was the hourly right there.
Probably a lick.
It's
No.
not that bad. It's not that bad. So like again, this is like a good trade, but it's also a high variance trade. Because if you were to take every single, so we took the hourly. So let's just follow the trail from here, hourly. Okay, missed trade, nothing happens there. Take this one. That's a little spooky. I would call that like null and void. I wouldn't even call that like a trade because maybe you were in, maybe you were out. I don't know. Like there's 20 or 30% above. Actually, that looks like 50% almost. No, there's like 30% above. I don't know. Did you end up staying in this trade? Maybe yes, maybe no. So we just washed that out. Let's take the next hourly level here. Well, we didn't take this. Did we take this range? Yes, but then why didn't we take this range? Well, because this one was here. Okay, fine. So maybe this was like a good one. Next trade. You got 2 good ones. What about this? Never hits. This one, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You see what I mean? Like there's not a lot of like this one. Obviously, this was a terrible trade.
Mm-hmm.
This was good if you took this hourly hold level. This one never gets hit. This was a terrible one to take. You would have lost money on that one. Then you're back up here. This one's good. That one's good. Like it's just such variance. That's good. This one missed. That one was good. This one was terrible. This one was terrible. And that one's pretty bad. That one's bad. So like obviously if it's moving up in price, taking these hourly hold levels are bad. If it's moving down in price, it was okay. But there's just so much variance there. There's not like a clear cut, easy trade as to where this is like, oh, this was the level that was going to be hit. Perfect. Now look at it, right? So like I think that's like a big part of where you need to be is creating these like sub strategies around smart things. So creating the trail, like that would be one of the ones I'd recommend doing. Wherever this trail gets created, like whether it's 15 hourly, 4 hour, that's about identifying the correct hold level. So you can sum that all up with the understanding that we're looking at reverse levels, we're looking at floating levels, we're looking at hold levels that are just untested, we're looking at combo ranges. You can lump all of that in together and just mark it as find the correct hold level. Because now it's your job to say, okay, which level makes sense out of all of it, right? It's almost like a part of RA in a way. But you still want to RA your different moves, but that would be one. Your trends would be another one. Identifying ladders would be another one. So that would be 3. So like if you're in a moment like this and you wanted to like identify the correct level. So you got a 5 minute here, that was hit pretty nicely. So maybe this is the next one, 5 minute, that's a good one. So then that 5 minute trail is creating, those buying opportunities. Was this one ever tested? It was. And that gets into your 15 minutes again. So that's fine, but maybe we can start on a different part of the chart where we don't know what's happening. We just go to like right here. Pick a random spot. I don't know. Okay, so you're back here. So you got a 5 minute hold level. Did that hit? Yeah, but is there anything else? Okay, so it's a 15 minute level. So we're right here in time and I'm like, okay, we have a 15 minute here. That held. This 15 minute is next. Go forward a few candles. Like finding the correct ladder here. So that obviously held. So this would be like your next, like maybe correct ladder. I think you have to do a little bit more due diligence here. It's not an hourly. It's definitely not a 4 hour, 15 minute, 5 minute. So you got a 5 minute trail here. So that if it is a 5 minute trail, that's hit. So that's important. So if we need to pick one of these 2 spots to buy on the next move. 3 minute level gets hit there, then there, and there. I don't think this is a 3 minute level. So I would go 5 and 15 here. So probably the 15 minute would be like the next correct ladder to buy. Is there any kind of origins back here? No, I wouldn't use these. Origin here, and then it hits the origin. So maybe actually this is the right level here, 766. So I would actually look at this and I would say, okay, here's the origin level. This did get tested here. It is trying to hold up the move. So now are we reversing this level for the first time? So that's how I would look at this. So my first trade would be here at 767. Let's see what happens. Wait, shit, which one is it? It's this one, right? Yeah, 767. Okay. So this is like, see, does it start moving up or does it go back and attack that? Okay. So now we can delete these. And now we're in a moment where we said, okay, this 15 minute got hit, right? That was, now we have a choice between the origin here, the 15 minutes. So now we can use trend, do this. So deep dive, that level got held. This can get reversed next. Let's also check the 5. Like I'm just trying to identify like kind of the correct ladder point. That 5 is not really it because this is also the 15. Like I still think it's the 15. So I would do one of 2 things. If we keep moving up past trend, I would go here to a point where we can still say like, okay, trend here. It can go like that. That's too deep actually. I think right now it has to kind of drop even right here in order to hold this. I don't even think you could get out this far. If you're getting out this far, what I think you need to do is you need to be looking at this trend here now. So then origin here, can it go past this and close above the origin now? I just want to see a few candles. I guess my first buy spot right now, if we have the next couple candles, so for like the next, say 7 candles, I would put my buy right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's almost too late now. So like at this point, okay, can it dive here and go there? If it does, we have a bigger trend here. So like we're working the wrong way, so now we're getting fucked up readings, right? Which is so. It's not great, but it's not horrible either because we worked the wrong way through time. So can we actually deep dive this origin to go to trend? So now I would be thinking, do I buy this or do I buy trend? Because I want to hold this origin. Same thing as we talked about like the trend, deep diving a trend earlier. Can we just deep dive this origin, hold this origin and go for trend? So like, does a trend become the right buy spot? I think I would keep this for like 1, maybe 2 more candles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have my trade up. Nah, this is it. I wouldn't do it anymore. I wouldn't go here. I would take that off. So now we're creating a ladder. I want to go back at my time frames here. Hit this origin. At this point, does this become the origin? So do we deep dive trend? Like I think I would take this off at this point. This comes off. This ladder is breaking. So where this had a test here and it laddered here, I don't really feel like you're going to break this ladder just to hit this and move up again. Maybe you do, but for me, it's too risky. So I would take this off, take this off. Now I would say, okay, can we hit trend? Can we deep dive trend to this here, make this an origin, and then regain this trend? So I think my buy spot now becomes that, not this, because the spread difference here of $13 doesn't make sense to potentially miss the trade. I'm more concerned about the trend. Now we're back in that trend spot. Oh, you son of a B, you're holding. Don't do it. Oh, it didn't hit the level. Oh, it did there. But I mean, I think at that point anyways, you're not buying this take trend because the gap is too far. So like, I just think there's no trade to be had there. I think you analyze this whole thing and there was no trade, right? Like I think once you've hit this, and I should have slowed down and talked about it a bit first. That's my bad. But regardless, I think once you hit and hold this trend, like you're not dropping trend here to regain it like that. Like this is a knife catch, go back above trend.
Yeah.
So this is the same scenario we talked about where if this level didn't get hit, it was just a missed trade. It was simply a missed trade, no money lost. And that's it. So doing this, we identified the ladder point and we ended up just missing the trades. You know what I mean? But like walking through that and talking about where the smart trade was, this is a perfect scenario. You never hit your level. You move past above it. And that was that 1 of 5 times what's going to happen is it's going to go like this and go back above it, right? And so you don't get any trade here unless that was the 1 in 5 times that you were looking at, right? And then so there's just no trade that exists here for you, and you're just whatever, wherever this thing goes next. I'm not really sure. You just picked a random spot, but that's just a completely blanked out trade. Like there's nothing there. Once you hit that trend, that opportunity is gone. Like you hit trend, that's like it. That's it. Your 1 in 5 is gone. So we tried to buy the ladder here, didn't work out, but I do think that we traded it safely. I do think that because you know what a lot of times is going to happen is something like this. You're going to have this hold level here. It holds. You're going to create this hold level here. And if this breaks, you straight dump because there's nothing left. Like that's going to happen often. So like if you were to just buy the ladder point, you would have immediately went through it and been like, oh shit, I'm down 30%. I'm probably exiting like in and around here for a small loss. Like it's going to be very rare that you hold this through and see those profits unless it's like a 1 candle pump. Like right there, you likely would have been out neutral paying fees, right? Because then you're here again and now you're panicking like, uh-oh, I got to get out. Right? Like maybe you're here and you exited on small profits, but you know how often this is going to happen where you have like a hold level like this and it's just going to break right through. You could have bought there and that would have been okay, but
I think it's just smarter to play the re-entry at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have
even if you
justified
want to
that
do
because
that.
it's this here is laddering that 15 minutes. So this would have been an okay spot, but it still feels risky.
Yeah.
You know, go to another spot where there's a hold level that just like breaks through, like just Pick a spot on the chart and start looking at hold levels. Like, okay, fine. You got a hold level here. Okay, so this one should be next. It goes there. This should be next. It goes there. This should be next. Minus 43%. You're probably stopped out on this. And if you're not, like, you're likely taking exit right back to break even and you're missing that whole move, right? Like, yeah, here's another one. Like, oh, backside hold level. Buy the hold level. Okay, fine, good, it laddered. Buy this one, straight down. Like, instant loss of money. Like, I don't think just linearly marking these ladder points makes sense like that. Like when you're just like, oh, 4-hour level, 1-hour level. Like, it's too linear. It's just setting yourself up for like it's introducing leaks into your game when they don't need to be there. When you can just mark everything and be like, okay, what's the RA of this? What makes the most sense to buy and trade? So that would be like a third one, identifying the correct ladder points. Like, I don't know, let's go to a 4-hour, get a random candle spot. Like, yeah, right here looks good, sure. And then we'll switch it to a smaller time frame so we don't know what's going on. Go to a 15-minute, like right here. Like, what makes sense on these ladder points now? Like, okay, we've got polarity right here. This makes total sense to buy this. You just missed it, so now you're here. So now, like, I'm already seeing in this move, like, I need to identify polarity here. Hourly hold level, polarity. This looks like a good rebuy right here. Does this make sense? Not really. So, like, I don't think you're even moving up in time frames here. Oh, son. We're gonna go to the daily and we're gonna cut it there so that we can try to hide what happens.
Even after this long, repeller tool is still broken.
Oh man. We'll go to the hourly and we'll just play it through a bit here. So, like, I think you can easily identify 2 rebuy spots here, right? So, like, where do the ladders make sense? Like, I would have these marked on my chart, but where would I have a trade? And then on the top side, I'd be like, okay, you've got origin here, polarity here. So you're trying to break this origin on top. So just want to see what happens a few candles in here. Okay, so obviously, like, your polarity is going to be broken here. Oh, shit. Okay, so like now you're into not this one, not this. It looks like you're like right here now, maybe even like something like this. That's broken. So let's go to the hourly. You're like even like right here. So you're hitting this hold level, which means you're going to have a polarized origin right here. So you need to, it's kind of all in the same here. You're going to hard close this and, you know, close that one. So if you were here, like what point now makes the most sense to buy? And that's like, okay, so you have polarity here. Was this range ever tested? No, it's like a completely untested range. This is ladder in the bottom. You have trend like this. How fast does it drop? Yeah, I don't think I'd have any buy yet. I think I'd want to see, like, maybe I'd be in a short here because this is pretty, you know, polarized. I don't think I'd be buying this one. I don't know what happens here, but I just don't think this is the polarity I'd be buying. Can it bounce the move? Yes. And if it holds, this thing's going to skyrocket up. So you could buy this because there could be like a huge upside to it, but it's high risk for sure. Like, if this holds, this thing's going to skyrocket. Yeah, no, I don't like it. I'm glad I wouldn't have bought that. Even here, like, when I see stuff like this, I would have been out break even. Like, I'm almost liquidated there. Like, why stay, right? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense here. I don't think I'd be buying any of these hold levels. Like, this one here is untested. I don't think I'd be buying it. It's okay, but there's so much more left in the range. That was a nice little scalp. So that would have been an incorrect call. This one would have been a good buy because you're laddering off the origins. That one would have been good. This one I wouldn't have bought, but that would have been the correct call to take it as a scalp. At this point here, I would be looking at this. I just want to see. Okay, at this point here, now you're deciding like which level makes sense. This one right here, because it's going to hit trend and it's going to hit this and it's going to be together and it's going to hold the move. We're not using any other time frames here, so maybe this hourly makes a little more sense, but I think I would wait for this one down here. No, I'll be waiting a long time, I guess. At this point, I would now be buying trend because I would look at this and I would say, okay, we can deep dive trend. So I would not buy this polarity. Or you could hold this above trend. I think you're still targeting this because I think you're going to target back here and close above this. So now this is like a different type of strategy. Now you're trying to buy a ladder point. Oh, it just missed. I wonder if where I would have placed my order. I feel like there's a 50% chance I might have gotten filled on that because I would have gone like this and that's still front running it. I might have missed this one. I might have tried to go right for trend. But at this point now, I would be buying this as a re-entry. 100% I would be buying this as a re-entry, or I'd be buying this level down here. So I'd have two trades set up here. Like neither of them are going to hit. I don't want to hit play because then it's going to like skyrocket through. Okay, we'll hit play and we'll try to pause it here. Like, and then obviously at this point, like this trend doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, you're down here. Like you're blasting this, you're blasting all of these, and you're just down here to buy that ladder. Like we never even got a trade, but at least we analyzed it smartly for low risk. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this ever gets hit. I think we're going to need to move up in time frame here. And I think at that point, you would have something like this marked as well. Coordinate with that. Hopefully that drop happens and front running trend.
Sometime.
I don't know if this thing's ever even gonna hit. Like at this point, I wouldn't even be buying this anymore. There's no point. I'm curious to see if this thing ever gets hit in the future. But I wouldn't be buying it at this point. Like there's nothing left to buy there. Oh, these are like crazy 4 hour. Oh, dude, 4 hours. Jesus, this thing's taking. You've been waiting a long time. What is this, months? April. That hit again. That held that polarity again.
Wow.
Or yeah, there it is. So it does get hit. Well, at least sometime in the future, it ends up being a decent trade. But you know, I think that's like we're talking about from March till April, like a month. You're not waiting a month on a trade. Like obviously the opportunity was never hit and missed. It ends up becoming a good buy spot, but sometime in the near future or like a month later. So again, just like how do you analyze a ladder point now to make it make sense? How do you say like, how can I buy a ladder point? And then sometimes you're going to be right and sometimes you're not going to be right. But at least if you're taking the smartest, greediest spots, you're not sitting there marking every 4 hour ladder, every hour, every 15 minutes. You're looking at what makes sense in the move. You're analyzing it. And we missed that trade, but that's just our 1 in 10 scenario. We have like 10 of these different micro strategies that we have where we can like analyze a risk and then just say, how do we best take like 10 positions across 10 different trades and just, you know, create kind of almost like this set of micro strategies, right?
Yeah, that I've been straying away from just like, well, it's been a while, but I've been straying away from just marking anything I see and trying to create more of recently too, like how you told me about creativity in the story. So I've been trying to really follow like the trail.
Yep.
And not just mark random things on the chart. That was not good.
Well, I mean, that's important. Like I'm creating this story the whole time, right? I'm sitting here and saying like, okay, there's polarity here. If it hits this polarity, it's going to do that. Now we've got this trend. If it breaks this trend, it's not going to be a good day for Bitcoin. And then, you know, I marked out this trend and, you know, that one breaks. And I'm sure there's other trends here. Like this is, you know, creating that story. Like I'm sure this was a trend here. Like I'm sure if I go up to the daily, you've got daily trend here, breaks, move, crushes down and holds it up until it can't. Like you do have to still create that story, but it can't be your final decision. Like, you just use it in conjunction with like how I did here, marking out this stuff. And one of the two that we marked was right, but we just ended up taking the greedier one, right? Like that's not always going to be the case. Like this 15-minute was correct here, right? Like this 15-minute is polarity and whatever. Oh no, it was this one. Sorry, we marked this one here. This one was actually the final level to get hit. So when choosing between these two levels, you know, you can coordinate that trend and be like, which one? And I thought we were going to go to this level here because it was just going to go just below a touch trend, touch level, close above polarity, blah, blah, blah. Like that was a nice little story. And that's what happened. It just didn't hit our level. So, you know, you have all these choices. But then at that point, now you're just like, oh, trade missed, move on. I was holding out to see if this one would get hit and it didn't. And that's fine. But at least we created the right levels. And the only trades we would have ever been in here. So if you mark out all of these levels, there is never a losing trade. Trend, this level, this level, this level. There's never a single losing trade here. You have a 100% success ratio with this, but that doesn't mean you're always going to hit. You have probably a 20% get in the trade ratio, but you have like 100% success ratio on the trade. You're picking one of these levels that makes the most sense. Again, I barely missed mine, which sucks. I would have been in this trade and I would have been like, son of a, I just missed. And I would have cried about it and complained, but there's no money lost in these trades. It's just, did you get filled? But at least you know, here's all the levels. There's one trade. There's one trade to take, pick the right level. So RA it. And if you RA it, this would be like your 10. Trend would be your 9. This would be your 8. This would be your 7. Well, 8, 9, and 10 never got filled. But at least you didn't lose money. So if you had, like, again, there's 3 scenarios, right? Buying the correct ladder point, like the correct polarity or ladder points, right? Buying the right level, like identifying the right level in itself, like whether it be a reverse. So you see what I mean? Like create 10 of these and miss 100 trades and only get in 10% of those trades. But at least all 10 trades are like high success trades. And then you can like start upping your frequency of how often you get in the trade. Then you can start refining your accuracy, right? Like this would have been a good one. Origin polarity, how many times you could have entered this. This would have been a little sussy, but all the other ones are not bad. And this one would have obviously been bad, but you know, once this breaks over, this is gone anyway. So now you're more polarized against something up in this range. Like, I don't know what it would be. Maybe something from back here on a higher time frame. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Hourly rate here. Nah, it's not even an origin. The hold level keeps getting hit. So your polarized point would be somewhere on this right here. So you'd be polarized against this. So yeah, those are good traits. But then, you know, obviously this isn't a good one. But you know, once it happens and these two are gone, right? And then you're up in like, what did this hit? That hit that. So then you're polarized against whatever's in here. So there's no actual like, you could have this, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna have something in between those two. Like I'm pretty sure you're gonna have, son of a. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to see that, but do you know what I mean? Like you'd be just repolarizing the move. Like you know, you'd just be saying like, oh, obviously there's something in between here. So if we go back and use that 15-minute time frame, I think that was the furthest one. So like you'd be polarized against something like this. Like where this candle drops, there's probably like a 3-minute hold level or a 1-minute hold level, and that's probably polarizing it. Like you're creating the trail here, and this, so you'd buy this one next, right? Like then you'd be, you know, this is the correct level to buy, ladder point right there or right here, right? Okay, so whatever this polarized, so then your polarity is actually this as a reverse. So you'd actually be against this as a reverse. No, it hits it again. So you're not against this as a reverse. Now you're kind of thinking, okay, there's got to be some type of, maybe this is an origin in here. I can't tell, but this could be like a little 1-minute origin. I don't know. I can't tell. We're on the 15. We can't go any lower. So could you reverse this right now? Yeah, you could reverse this. So this is not a bad reentry. If it misses, there's no harm, but it's not a bad reentry here. At this point, I would kind of be feeling like this is the right trade. And that hits. So actually you're polarized against this now. So this was holding up the move. So there was some type of origin right here, smaller time frame. Origin right here that tried to hold the move, polarized there. So then you're going to be like here or higher time frame or here and close out. So now you are against those. You would never be taking this again. In order to ladder this down, could you be here? Well, what are your trends going to say? Different time frame. You'd have trend like this. You don't really want to ever get to that trend. I'll just wait for a few candles here. Yeah, there it is right there. Well, I didn't make my decision, but I think that would have been the correct play. I didn't make my decision. If I was here right now, was there anything else? Like if I missed this trade, could I try to take this? Yeah. Is there something that's going to be here? Here. This is all polarized against this. So like, is there anything localized against that could further ladder this move? We can't go back in time. So you could go hourly right here. That's not bad. That's not, oh, again. Oh. I think we were like right here. No, no, we were like
wait,
in
no.
here.
Yeah, down there.
So like this hourly here, and that hits. And like obviously this is a call to exit. So this is your hourly origin right here, because this is polarizing against this trend, right? Like this trend is here. So like this is gone. That trend, actually we can leave that trend up. That's like, okay, trend. You're never taking any of these trades now, right? Like the only thing you could do is be polarized against this hourly, because at least that could still ladder this move from here to like here, or even here. So like you go to your 15 and you hit this and you're in a short and then you go above it. This looks like about 20%, right? No, 71. Jesus, that's a lot. We're far zoomed out. So I guess then you would have maybe had a liquidation here, or you would have gotten out of the trade when it went over and started to close. But can't really go down a time frame to see, unfortunately. But anyways, do you see what I mean about like repolarizing the move?
Yeah.
And then like whatever happens here happens here. And then this is that trend that breaks. Over time, that's that trend that breaks. So yeah. Yeah, it's too bad we can't see the smaller time frames there, but yeah, I mean, what can you do? Yeah, man, I think that's where you need to be, is creating these like high profit, high success ratio trades and spreading those across the board, missing a ton of trades. Like I think when you take 100 trades or 1,000 trades with $1, what you're doing is you're exposing yourself. So like version 2 of fear of failure, that exercise where I tell you take 1,000 trades with $1. I think what you do in that scenario where you take your first 1,000 trades is you are exposing yourself to what's working and what's not working. But then part 2 of that would be refining it, right? So you know what works and what doesn't work. So you get that technical ability to start marking out, like even just identifying like, hey, here's polarity in the move. This actually ends up being a really good rebuy spot. Oh, we need to go to a 4-hour chart. As long as you come down, and even maybe it's like right there, the 4-hour, as long as you come down within a reasonable amount of time. Like you're not going to just sit here and be like, oh, you had polarity here. Well, that one tested. So that's not a good example, but like you have it here, or like, where's another one here? So you'd have something like right here. Like one of these makes sense. Well, maybe both of them, but you get to a point where you go so far past, like your range is going to break from here and you're going to just fall straight down to the bottom of the range, right? So this is likely going to gap this range down, right? So like maybe this one made sense, maybe not. Actually goes to trend. Again, that's like trying to buy every single hold level doesn't always make sense. Like you bought this hold level, not a good position. You bought this one, yeah, sure, that was a nice scalp. But then again, like how much sense does this one make? Not a lot. I think you lose money there. How much sense does this one make? Well, not a lot, because you're just like, once you lose that range, like it only makes sense to a certain point, right? Can't just ladder every single hold level. Can't just buy every single 4-hour, every single polarity, like within reason. Just like our first example where I marked all 3 on the 15-minute origin levels and I missed a trade, but one of them executed. Like, these don't make sense. They're just going to gap down. Maybe they might hold, but I don't think it's worth the variance in introducing all that extra risk. I don't really think it makes sense. I think once you lose this range, it starts making more sense to short like the bottom target. Just like once you, and that's another one you can add to your book. Like, let's go to a new spot. Right here, like what's polarized on the top side here. So this is polarized here against that hold. So if you're laddering down, you want to start looking at like what's holding this move, right? So you've got this here. So your next hold level will be, so just buy the next reverse. You already know that this is wicked through a bunch and it's laddering the move. So you're not actually going back up to your origin. So just buy your next reverse after this test here. Just buy this one. Like you're already laddering down and you just hold to the bottom of the range, and the bottom of the range is either here. So you're either taking your profits here, like whatever like it looks like right there. And I'm just marking the current time frame. So whatever this local origin is, like you're either buying this reverse to that, or you're holding it to the bottom of the next range, which would be this ladder point here, right there. So like that's the thing. Like you would just identify this reverse trail here, and you're just buying it to the next, the bottom of the range, because that range is already breaking. So you could either go to the bottom of the current range, but if that current range doesn't hold, you're just going to be gapping. So like even okay, say you took this trade to here. Where's your next level? Do you have a reverse? Yeah, you do. You have one right here. So wouldn't this just be like the next perfect trade, the next reverse? Bang, right there. So then you had 2 trades in that range, right? But you can't come up and buy this because you're already laddering the move. So you buy this reverse here, gets crushed down, or whatever, it was right here. I think we crushed down to that range. This range is tested. If this ladders against that range right here, then like you're at that next perfect level. But you can't just say like, oh, I'm just going to buy the next hold level. Like that's too linear. You'll get into bad scenarios. Like sometimes next hold level works, but like, yeah, if it's an untested range right at, like here's the next hold level. This isn't a reverse. This is right at the cusp of the range. So like somewhere in between here, sure, it's just like an untested. Or maybe you would go the backside here, something like this, because it's encompassing all 3 levels. It's like its own combination level, which would then be onset by this polarity. So maybe you'd buy this polarity right here, because this polarity covers everything. So that covers the backside, because you test that backside. You wouldn't miss polarity. You'd also be testing the front side and this. But then again, you're not buying a hold level. You're actually doing a little bit of TA here to analyze to see this, and then that becomes a good one. But then, oh, buy the next hold level. Yeah, good luck. Like, okay, dude. Okay, buy the next. Well, that one actually worked really well. Okay, buy the next hold level. Yeah, never hit. Right? Like you can't just buy next hold levels all the time. But like that's the next step, right? Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
next step in your journey. There is just like, oh, what's next after 1,000 trades? 1,000 trades makes it so you don't miss reverse levels, floating levels. What's next is, okay, I've done my 1,000 trades. Now I need to find and create like a Bible of good trades. Because like these ones I'm marking are pretty damn accurate. I think I maybe have missed one or two not getting in trades, or like maybe one or two push through, but you're going to take losses in trading too. It's not,
Oh yeah.
it's not peaches and cream. Every trade is good. It's about having more winners than losers.